So first of all, presentation. I'm Andrea Condotta, as I said. Indeed, I will not speak to you just as Public Affairs Innovation Manager of GRUBER Logistics, which is my main role, indeed. I have also a couple of roles outside the organization in 2.0. I will explain better later on what it is about. But both organizations, 2.0 and ALICE, play an important role at European Commission level in terms of advocacy and proposing a different view of logistics. And who are we? I'm speaking about GRUBER. GRUBER is quite simple to understand. It's a transport and logistics company. We are indeed working in all logistic chain, except of the business to customer framework. So for the ones that are coming from the logistics sector, it's quite understandable that we do logistics, partial loads, full truck loads. We operate by road, by rail, and everything. So we have a quite large experience in all the logistic chains. And to give you an idea about some figures about the company, our turnover last year was 420 million euro. We have 1,700 transport units going around. There are mentioned trailers as well as trucks. So we have 500 trucks in our fleet, and we are spread quite around all around Europe. The main important countries for us are Italy, obviously, but also Germany. And indeed, you are not very lucky, since probably all the people in my company can speak German except me. But that's how it happens sometimes. I will speak about a little bit about the changes of logistics market, and indeed, the sustainable topic is getting more and more and more important. We can mention 3 different trends. The first one is, which is the place of the sustainability in the organization of a company. And more the sustainability is getting a place in the strategic framework. Second trend is that we are moving towards a competitive market. We will be competitive also in the future, extremely competitive also in the future. But there are some room for cooperation, and the sustainability is definitely one place where the cooperation needs to be very, very present. And third point is that the relation between customer and provider is changing. And buying transport, selling transport is acquiring more and more and more knowledge. First point, the sustainability. I really love this image, since it's not just related to UN development goals, but it's a performance of Liu Bolin, which is a Chinese artist. And you see that there is a man in the picture. And the meaning is that when we speak about sustainability, we are not speaking about something theoretical. We are speaking about the man and the future of the man. How we approach sustainability. Here you have the heart of GRUBER Logistics strategy for 2023. And you can see that sustainability is one of the key points of our strategy. I'm not speaking about something that we need to do. We are speaking about something that is really part of our development strategy. But what is it about? Since obviously right now we are more focused on environmental, let's say, in our in the Hamburg framework, but actually sustainability is social sustainability, environmental, as well as a business ethics. And even if we go in deep in the environmental, what the companies nowadays have to do is to work on alternative fuels than diesel, different way of transport than roads, and optimizing the network, which means basically to exploit better the cargo and the capacity of the cargo in Europe. Maybe some of you know that the most transported commodity in Europe is air. So we transport a lot of air. Second point, what does cooperation mean? Well, there are 2 levels of cooperation. One is high-level cooperation, and one is, let's say, operational and business framework. So what ALICE, that I mentioned before, is a working group, a quite big association at European level, which is composed by shippers, transport companies, logistics companies, freight forwarders, research bodies, university, to build an holistic view towards zero-emission transport system. And that's very interesting, since if you look at the top management of the organization, you have L'Oréal as chair, Procter & Gamble as vice chair, and I'm vice chair of the commission related to sustainable assets. 2Zero. 2Zero is an organization created indeed by the European Commission together with the automotive sector. I'm vice chair of this association, and our role is to propose to the European Commission the main important topics for hydrogen and electric vehicles. Obviously, I'm referring just for the freight transport, but this working group is working in all kinds of vehicles, 2 wheels, 4 wheels, and so on. And that's an example of what high-level cooperation means. But nowadays, when we want to put on the road, practically speaking, a vehicle which in a way requires a different system to work, we need to create also a different approach between providers and customers. This is the first electric truck deployed in Italy outside the food sector and GDO. And we did this project together with Scania and Electrolux. For a company like Electrolux to put on real field this vehicle, it means that they need to change a little bit their operational framework. We needed to identify among a lot of flows around Europe for Electrolux, which was the best place to use this kind of vehicle. And indeed, right now it's working between Piacenza and Milan. And Scania supported us technically in order to understand, also based on the topography of the territory, where was the best place to deploy this kind of vehicle. So cooperation means that you need to move towards a system that for decades worked just with diesel. And right now you have multiple solutions that you need to be able to use in different geographical framework. And this drives me to the last point, which is the knowledge. And the main important change is that we are moving towards an asset-based economy, just asset-based, towards a knowledge-based economy. So when we approach the 3 pillars that I showed to you, alternative fuels, intermodality, network and optimization, network and cargo optimization, it means that you need to have knowledge. In alternative fuels, we are speaking about knowledge of different fuels that you can use. In the framework of intermodality, you need to understand that bringing one container just in a truck, doing A to B is very simple. But when you move towards intermodality, it means that you need to have a cooperation with a carrier for the first leg, then a hub, then a rail operator, then the second hub, then a different carrier, and all people in the chain need to be coordinated. Just to go on a practical example about what does it mean. It means that when we need to select a fuel, a specific track, a specific technology in order to going in the decarbonization, we need first of all to understand which is the right methodology to calculate the impact. And the right methodology is not just to consider the consumption of the fuel, but also the production of the fuel. And it touches also obviously the energy framework and the hydrogen framework. Then you need to understand which is the best solution from that point of view, but also practically speaking, if I want to use, for instance, LNG, which is liquefied methane, where I can use it. I cannot use it, for instance, in Hungary or Bulgaria, since I don't have a refueling station. I could use it from France or in Italy and just in specific areas. In Germany right now you have around 20, if I'm not wrong, 20, 30 refueling stations, so it's getting practical to use it. But if I want to have a step forward, I need to move to bio-solution. So biodiesel or bio-LNG, where it is available. Which kind of feedstock is used to produce the fuel. Not everything is the same. But you see that the impact can be really, really huge if you use the right feedstock, the right fuel, and so on. we are speaking about minus 55% of impact if we have a biodiesel truck. With a very good feedstock, you can reach 70% of reduction. This is data coming from a model that we have implemented in Italy, and the reduction is massive, almost close to zero, minus 95% of CO2 emissions. And obviously, you need also to look at the future, electric vehicles, hydrogen vehicles, and to clearly understand which is the path that you need to do in order to be the first one to reach that point. So it's not very polite, but I have a question for you, for the audience, for the people that are listening. Normally, you're supposed to receive questions. But the real question is, are you ready for the change? Are we ready for the change? Are we open enough to invest in new technology, new things, to try to have a multiple solutions in our mindset? Thanks.
It's a question now for everyone to contemplate, unless you really want an answer.
No, I can go.
Are there questions from the audience? I'd be happy to translate if there are questions in German. Daniel. Yes, please. Please wait.
Thank you very much. I just have one question concerning the high prices at the moment for LNG, for biodiesel, for all the fuels we have. So how does these prices influence the future of all your plans? Does it work, or do you have a calculation and you say, okay, at a certain level of prices, it does not even work to go on with these projects?
Yeah, that's a very bad impact. We need to be very, very open on that. Since considering the average EBIT of transport logistics company in the market, we are around 1%, 1.5. It depends on the geographical areas. It can be 2, 2.5, but actually we are not speaking about 10%. So when there are this kind of strong impact in the market, obviously companies can be in a way in difficulty when they have to invest in different fuels, different technologies. So certainly there is an impact. On the other side, we think that the flexibility of a company is also a value. So it means that you mentioned biodiesel. Right now, biodiesel has basically the same price or just a little bit higher than the diesel. So it means that that's a solution. So you need to be ready to move on different fuels, different technology. Obviously, we have invested in 100 LNG trucks. You cannot easily switch in one or another technology. So playing in the market is always difficult. Certainly, there will be a negative impact in terms of investments for certain kind of company, but especially the company that do sustainability for marketing reasons. That's why it's important to say that sustainability has to be at strategy level. So it is a strategy level. You need to force yourself to find a different solution in order to respect your standard and in order to improve and decrease your impact in terms of emissions. Otherwise, as you said, when there is a difficulty, you say, okay, that's a bad thing. Let's stop and let's come back to diesel and the most convenient way of transporting stuff.
All right. Any other questions? No?